All right, listeners, welcome back to Sixes and Sevens. We are live from Las Vegas. Well, I am. Mitch is in Australia, but I'm sitting here across from Trump Towers, living like the king here in Vegas. We've got some really good games of football to speak about today. But first of all, let's talk about Vegas, what it's about, what the spectacle of rugby league is about here, and see if Mitch has got any more stories to tell us about Vegas, because I know there'd have to be a few more up the sleeve. How you going, buddy?
Mate, I'm envious. That's what I am right now. I'm sitting here in Alexandria while you're over there in Las Vegas, and your eyes look extremely blue,
can't they?
Eyes look very blue. Usually, if you're in Vegas and that colour, I'd be worried. I knew you'd be on a vendor, but
no, it's good. This big glow light over the top of my head, big moonshine head. But mate, it's crazy over here. The flight was a bit torture, but got here today at lunchtime, went for a walk around, and it was like we're walking around Sydney. I've got a few photos here and there, so I've still got it, 38 and still got it.
That makes you feel good.
Does make you feel.
What's the vibe like there? Is it all mainly rugby league fans, or? Well,
the last time I was in Vegas was 2010, and I don't really remember Vegas. I had to go up close to Caesar's Palace today and see what it looked like, because that's where we stayed for 4 days, and I don't think I left the whole Caesar's Palace.
Oh.
So it's pretty full on. Like, the street we went down for lunch today, there's lots of NRL fans, lots of NRL jumpers. Like I said, got a few photos of some fans, which was pretty cool. But you can just, like, at night time, obviously, like anywhere in America, the entertainment, and once the lights go out, it starts to build up. But I went for a feed before, a little walk around, and got ready for today and for our little chat. There's some big games of footy. Obviously, the Wigan Warrington game, which there's a fair bit of news just come out this afternoon that Sam Burgess didn't get his visa come over. I think it's from when he played up in Australia, drink driving, and he pleaded guilty to it. So he's charging. He's probably not the only person that's ever not got a visa. Mine was to go to England in 2008 when I signed the Huddersfield Giants. My visa got declined. So I know how you're feeling over there in England, Sammy. Vegas is ready for you, but I'm not sure if you'll get here. But there's some big names, obviously, from both teams, Wigan and Warrington. I'll start with the Wigan team. They've got Jai Field, Bevan French, Adam Kerrigan, Cade Ellis, and Luke Thompson, one of the old props from the Bulldogs. And Warrington, the other side, Matty Duffy, Josh Drinkwater, George Williams, Paul Vaughan, and Lachlan Fitzgibbon. A few guys that you've played with, and a few guys you want to have a chat about, Mitch.
Yeah, firstly, that's hilarious. Imagine going to Vegas and the actual coach can't be there. That's a dangerous thought, isn't it? Although I'm sure Sammy Burgess himself would be a dangerous thought in Las Vegas. I reckon.
Well, he would have given it a nudge if he was probably here. So probably it's best that he might stay back in England.
Yeah, it might be a blessing. But if you're a footy fan and you don't watch much Super League, you just spoke about all the Aussie guys that are in the side there. But go and watch, for the sake of watching, Jai Field and Bevan French. I played against them over there. We saw a bit of Jai Field here as a young kid before he went over, and Bevan French as well, but they are dynamite in the English Super League. And the game's a bit different over there. For those that don't watch the game sort of week to week, it's more of an open style and not as much of a defence focus in saying that Wigan are a very good defensive team. But if you get a chance, go and watch those two players in particular. Plenty of good players all across the field. Matty Duffy too lights it up over there as well. But Bevan French, honestly, if he gets a start back in NRL, he'd be one of the better players in the NRL as well. And he has been dynamite. So great open style of footy. Go watch him.
Well, he did. He got Golden Boot last year, or Man of Steel last year, Bevan French. A question for you, PC. When Bevan was here in Australia, he played fullback and wing. He now plays 5'8" for the Wigan Warriors. If he was to come home to Australia and you're an Australian club, would you sign him as a 6?
Yeah, I would. I remember when I went over there the second year, I think he was playing fullback the first year maybe, or a bit of fullback 5'8". They obviously had Jai Field there. They were kind of rotating, and they both, as I said, dynamite, super quick, just ad-lib players. And then when Bevan French went to 6 and when, as you said, won the comp and the Man of Steel over there, he was honestly unbelievable and defended quite well too. That's probably his weakness when he was in the NRL, if you put him into the halves, that defence. But, mate, he's so good. So if I was an NRL club looking for a half, I'd be getting Bevan French tomorrow.
Well, there's a few out there. So if you are listening, any NRL coaches or recruitment officers, get his name out there, because PC's get vouch for him. And another big game over here for the women, Australia versus the England team, which is a big reward for the girls to get out here and be rewarded on a big show, like the entertainment level here, and obviously all the eyes on them. So it's well done to the girls to be able to come out here and perform and play on the big stage over in Vegas. So I'm sure they'll light up the crowd tomorrow night too. Obviously the American fans are like, oh, wow, these Australians are crazy playing with no helmets or shoulder pads, and now they're going to see a spectacle of our girls play. And there is some big hits in the girls' competition. So good luck to the Australian girls tomorrow night against England. On Saturday night, against England.
Toddy, that would probably wig the American fans out more watching our women play rugby league, do you think? Like, you think about it over there, as you just said, they think it's crazy that we're all playing rugby league without headgears. Headgears.
Head guards and, the pads.
And then imagine them, they would never seen anything like these athletic women from Australia playing rugby league. I reckon it'd be mad for them as a spectacle for there.
Nothing at all, because even some Australians sit there and watch the girls' game and say, oh, wow, why do these girls do it? How do they do it? Like, how's it possible? And the way the girls' game's going, it's just obviously booming and growing, and their hits and the way they play footy. So it'd be good for the Americans to sit back and watch it. As you said, there's going to be some free throw and footy with the Warrington Wigan game. Then the girls will be on. The Raiders and the Warriors. I think it's going to be an unreal clash, this one. For the Raiders, Owen Paddy debut off the bench over Denny Levi. Josh Papali will start on the bench. But I think this is going to be a game will be won through the middle for me. We will speak about the halves, how they're going to go up against, obviously, Jamal Fogarty and Ethan Strange versus Tavita Harris. Chanel Tavita Harris and Luke Metcalf will get the first crack at the number 6 and 7 jumper. Where do you think it'll be won and why for both teams, or lost for one team?
Yeah, I think it's a hard one, isn't it? Because both sides are probably in similar positions, I suppose. Fair bit of change. An inconsistent year last year. Both played decent footy in some of their trial games or periods of their trial games. But I'm going to go with the Warriors purely just because of Mitchie Barnett and Fisher Harris as their leaders up front. Their first crack at co-captaincy. I think they're going to set the benchmark there up front, just that physical battle. And I also think with Luke Metcalf there, the way he played in the trials, he was just really steady, and the foils around him with Harris Tavita and Nicole Klostad, they just got plenty of options around him, plenty of ad-lib footy around him. I just think the balance of their team this year is really exciting. You hear their coach talk a lot about the changes he's made over the off-season, how he wants to harden them up, and you saw the way Luke Metcalf played in the trials. He played that really mature style. They obviously lost Johnson, but as great as Johnson was and as great as his career was, and one of our, we're both some of his biggest fans in the way he played, and we modelled some of our game off the way he played. They had a bit of a looseness to them in some ways. I'm not saying Johnson drove that, but he was a very off-the-cuff type of player. I reckon they're going to strip it right back this year, as we just said, use their two co-captains as their enforcers and play that really steady long game. And you could see the way Luke was playing in trials. He was that guy. He was that, compare him to, your Cooper Cronk type of halfbacks over the years or the modern-day game where they were just really steady, take control of the kicking game, and then as we just said, he's got Harris, Tavita, and then Martin around there when they decide to use him, playing that bit more ad-lib. So I can see them having a really good balance, and I think they'll be a bit more steely than Canberra. That's just my early thoughts, Toddy.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be a show without me and you butting heads and going at each other. I'm going to go against you here. And
here he is, the Goblin boy. Still in your heart, isn't it?
Well, I bleed green, as we know. I actually just walked past David Ferner and Don Ferner having a beer. I will touch on it while we're talking about Raiders. Have you ever had a scuffle with a teammate?
Had a scuffle with you?
Nah. Yeah, we've had a few scuffles, but like an actual scuffle with a teammate. Have you had a teammate fight at training?
Mate, when the story came up the other day, I was trying to reflect a bit. I can't remember one off the top of my head. Like, there's obviously arguments over the years or different players going at it at training. I can't really remember any real malicious ones that I was involved with. Talking about my old mate Kieran Fawn, we used to have the best fights ever when we were kids. Like, we'd play backyard footy or go out on the drink and we were that competitive. Like, we'd end up...
He'd dust you up too.
No, I'll go good against him. You can't throw him. We had a couple of real good fights, like legit fights, but it was like, brothers in the backyard. But that was the closest to me having a scuffle with a teammate. But yeah, it's... What's the actual story behind it? Have you heard any... Did Fernsey give you any insight? Because
I didn't stop and talk to him. Don Ferner doesn't really like me since he sacked me from Canberra in 2008. So I didn't stop and talk. I just sort of waved and kept going. But the reports is that the security was watching him in the CCTV at the lift, and they had a blow-up hammer. He didn't recognise their faces as guests to the hotel, and he thought the hammer was real, so he stopped. And apparently one of them was Morgan Smithies was donking Hudson over the head too many times, and he cracked him. So
that is hilarious. I didn't know there was a rubber hammer.
It shouldn't be back page of the paper or the first thing on the news, and obviously it's a storm in a teacup for me, and we should move on from it. Sorry I've jumped in, but I thought I'd just jump in before I tell you why I think the Raiders will beat the Warriors.
Our man Danny Widler would have had a field day just sniffing around for that. That's like Christmas Day, getting a little innuendo in Vegas, isn't it? That's all they're waiting for.
It was always going to happen if something went down. Even if someone farted, there'd be a Category 2 storm coming out of it. So, yeah, but I think the Raiders, I like the Raiders because Jamal Fogarty's kicking game. The field over here is smaller, not as long. So I think it will fall into the Raiders' play a little bit. The way Fogarty has got his short kicking game, but also his high kicking game, kicking him to corners. But I also like the Canberra Raiders bench. Obviously, we spoke about Alan Paddy, the young nine that will be coming on for Starling. But Simi Sasagi, Papali'i, and Adi Mariota, I like their bench. I think it'll be one in the middle of the game on the weekend, just because of that, purely the fact of how it's going to be with a small field. Over last year's game, the humidity and how slippery it was at times, I don't think there'll be much football thrown around early. So I think Canberra can win that purely for their kicking game and their steal through the middle. Obviously, as you did touch on some key players for the Warriors, which is going to be dangerous going through the middle, but at some point they're going to have to have a break, and I don't really like the Warriors bench. They've got a lot of sort of utility players, not too many middles, so I think Canberra can win that way. Yeah.
How is the field, Toddy? Have you been out there?
No, I haven't been out there. I'll go out there on Friday. I've got to go pick up my tickets. But it would be fast. Remember from last year, it was a fast pitch. But obviously, like I said, it's a smaller field. It's an NFL field. I'm looking forward to get there, actually. I'm actually calling this game with Triple M on the days. I've been looking forward to calling it, obviously. Like I said at the start of the show, I bleed green still. It's in my blood. It's probably why I went the Raiders too.
So is the Nines comp at the same field?
Nah, the Nines comp's
somewhere else.
Out the back somewhere, yeah. It's not really spoken about the Nines comp, but I'm over here playing with the Titan Industry team, which is a mining company. I was fortunate enough for them to get me over here and be a part of it. They won't get much of me on the field. My body's broken. I've got sore ribs from the charity game me and you played. Your knee's swollen up from the plane. I had socks on today and it looks like I've got big swollen ankles. It's not good start for me over here.
Much sleep on the plane?
Slept the whole way. I love sleeping on the plane. As soon as I got there, Cody's my roommate, and we checked in together, and I just said to the lady, "Can I get a window seat?" And she goes, "Oh, you won't be sitting with him." I said, "Oh, that's okay. He'll be fine." As soon as we had a feed, it crashed out and went to sleep, which was good. I didn't sleep much with Lion. He's a little pest at night time lately, my little fella. And Susie was away for 2 nights before I left, so I'm on my own, so I was ready to chuck some Zeds, and that's what I done.
That's what you need, eh? There's nothing worse than staying awake on a long flight. Sixes and Sevens is brought to you by Property 360. Property 360 offers a complete property acquisition service designed to deliver quantifiable results for investors. Their team of passionate acquisition advisors provides privileged insights and conducts thorough market analysis to secure the best real estate deals for your property portfolio. As the preferred partner of NRL players and staff, Property 360 has a proven track record of helping clients grow their wealth beyond life on the field. Head to property360.com.au to find out more.
Before we go into our next game, I'm going to do our fan question. And this is from Nathan Sinclair from the Gold Coast. Do you think young halves are coached out of the game with too much structure and not enough encouragement to play us up footy?
Great question. There's always that argument, isn't there, Toddy? We speak about that a bit. I think it really depends on who your coach is at a younger age. We've always spoke publicly about that, about the influences that we've had at a young age. There's certain mentors that I had at a young age that really taught me my skill set and allowed me to trust in my ability as well. And I think when you have that sort of leader or coach at a young age, they can really make or break you. So I do think there's a big place for players, or a negative effect of players being over-controlled when they're kids. You know, you hear Andrew Johns and Matty Johns, two of our best ever halves to play the game, especially Joey, and you hear about him speak about the systems he was in up there. There's a guy called Alan Bell that put a lot of systems in place in Newcastle, and he used to talk a lot about how much influence and sort of how much of a head start he got from that age of sort of 16 to 18 when he got that genuine coach that taught him all the basics and then all that, and then had trust in him to play what they see. So hearing it from Joey is obviously great. You're not going to get any better than that. And then from our own experience, you know, you can, even back into my career, and you could probably go off the back of this, but back into my career, when I was playing in sort of different systems, when my systems were too controlled, I ended up playing like a robot. You know, I look back on early days when I was playing in, especially when me and you played with Brian Smith, he cops a bit of criticism, but the year we played together, we were encouraged just to play whatever we saw, and it really, we speak about it still to this day, about being able to take risks. And there was seasons I lost that, and I think it was a bit to do with sometimes the system that we're playing in. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, because I have some concerns for players when they come in. You watch a lot of players more so when they're not playing NRL, or they play NRL and they don't come in and sort of light it up to expected of what they're doing in New South Wales Cup or Queensland Cup, and then they go back to Queensland Cup. And there's a stat, it was one of the players last year that in Queensland Cup, he touched the ball 50 plus times. And when he played first grade, he touched the ball like 23. So there's a big difference in how much they have the ball. And I don't know if that's because they're too shy or they're not ready to step up and take control of the game, which it could be, but also then it's the other players around them. When you get a young kid to come into first grade, you notice if it's a 7 that comes in, the 6 always takes more of control, because he probably feels he has to help him out a little bit, sort of instead of letting him take control like he would in any other team. But I also think the same thing is, as you said, that when you go in, there's a system and a structure that you got to play to, and instead of hitting short or always going out the back, it all sort of looks like they're playing like a robot. So I think the answer to the question is, there's probably a valid question answer to say yes, they probably do get coached out, but also it comes up to the individual too. He's got to go out there and own his own performance. At the end of the day, the coach isn't going to blow up if this kid's out there braining it like he does every other week. But it looks like it sometimes some kids just go in and just do the bare minimum and get the job done. And this guy's from the Gold Coast, and he's probably talking about some of the Gold Coast kids that have come through the school systems, obviously some big talents and big raps, obviously Jamal Fogarty, Jerome Hughes, Sexton from the Bulldogs. So players like that have sort of come through, and what they're producing in schoolboy level or under 20s or New South Wales Queensland Cup, they haven't done that in NRL yet. And they sort of get moved on really quick. So maybe he's got a bit of a bee in his bonnet from a Gold Coast Titans fan, because he's lost some really good talents and then moved on to other places and actually found a home in another club. So,
but as we know,
done for that.
Sorry, as we know too, though, you know, some players relate to different coaching or different types of leaders that can get the best out of them, right? So sometimes you see players leave. It might not necessarily be that coach or that system. It's just that they gravitate to another guy or a mentor that gets the best out of them as well. That can be the case too, can't it? You know, it's not always just the system. It's sometimes a trust thing maybe, or some sort of mentor or coach has some ability to spark something in some certain player that another coach didn't. You see that a lot too, don't you?
Yeah, so true. There's so many things. I mean, we talk about playing on the front foot. If you're at a team club that's got a really good go forward, you can play on the back of it and play really well. So, yeah, thanks for that question, Nathan Sinclair. To our listeners and fans of the 6 and 7 podcast, please hit us up and ask a question, or if you've got anything, it doesn't have to be football related. You can ask Mitch a question about anything. Just don't ask about the dog or ask me about the bubble and we'll be happy for the day.
Is that still getting around those questions?
Oh, I always cop it all the time. You probably don't get as much as me, but I do cop it.
10-year anniversary, I think.
I still get anxiety going to the toilet, Mitch, so it's still going to be around. I hide in the corner to do my wee.
Just the cock watchers with the camera hanging over you.
My old team, the Cronulla Sharks versus the Penrith Panthers. And it's a big one here for me. Blaze Talangi named at number 23 and Jack Cole named at 6 for round 1. Is it just because it's a Vegas or he's got the jump over him for round 1? Obviously, the halves matchup is Nathan Cleary versus Braden Trindle and Nico Hines. Where do you see this game going and how do you think it goes? How does it play out? And how does it play out these two halves for you?
Yeah, it's sort of who's going to win it. I was always leaning towards Penrith, but I've got a little. It's easy to sit on the fence, isn't it? But I've got a little suspicion that Cronulla might come out.
You're a fence sitter, but
I've got a little feeling that Cronulla might come out and blow them off the park. The reason being, I just think I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a slow start for Penrith, as great as they are. They're coming into their goal of winning 5 in a row. They've obviously lost a couple of players again, obviously Fisher Harris and then obviously the big one in Jerome Luai. As good as they are and as good as Nath is, obviously, I think the little chinks to the chinks in those changes and then the little still trying to ice down their 6. I think there might be a few changes. They might get over the line in this one, but I don't know if we're going to see their clinical best till sort of mid-season, back end of the year. But I think the reason Jake Cole, in my opinion, without knowing any insight, why he got the nod is probably in the defensive part of the game. We spoke about Blaze playing a fair bit in the centres at Parramatta and coming through playing a bit of 6. But watching Jake Cole, I think he debuted against Wigan, didn't he, last year in the Challenge Cup? He's played about 9 NRL games. Really good player. If anyone's watched him or watched his highlights, he's a super good player. Big athletic body, tall. Really, really good half. So you'd probably assume that Nathan and Yowie have probably got a bit of a say in that. They probably want someone in there to start the year that sort of suits their style and allows them to keep rolling on with the momentum, and maybe he was a better foil for that at the moment. Watching the two of them, he's probably got a little bit more to his game as far as a passing game and a bit more of an organiser, which is probably what Nathan needs. You like to think we spoke about Nathan probably evolving his game again, and it's an exciting prospect to see how he can take it again to another level, but he still needs someone there that's got a steady kicking game for him and that can take a little bit of pressure off, or it's just too much, too many eyes on him. So that's my sort of instinct. I reckon that's why they've lent towards Jake Cole. I think Blaze is more of that runner, and I think he's still got a little bit to go as far as the organising and maybe the defence part. That's just my own assumption, because it was all pointing towards Blaze, wasn't it?
Yeah, and if you're Brad Snyder, you're disappointed because he's took the reins a fair bit last year, sort of got him through some critical times when players were injured through Origin. I thought he'd be, if it wasn't Blaze, it was going to be Brad Schneider. So if I was Schneider, I'm a fan of him. I'd be disappointed, but obviously Jake Cole's obviously put his hand up over the trials and got the jump on him. So well done to him, and we're looking forward to seeing how that combination goes. And it's funny to talk about Cleary there and how much he's going to improve. I was listening to his dad talk about him saying that he's got levels to go in the game. It'd be interesting to see what those levels are. And,
oh, no.
Like, you've won 4 grand finals, and obviously the people that sort of sit on the fence and feel abuse all the time, he hasn't done much in Origin. Well, he has. He's won Origin series. He's capable of playing Origin. Like, we all know that. There's just some blokes that always have to have something to say.
Where's his levels, Toddy? Where's his levels? I want to ask you, where's these levels from your point of view? Like, he's pretty much a complete player. There's no doubt. I reckon if we ask Nathan, and hopefully in a couple of weeks we can maybe get a little cameo with Nath on the show.
There's a little hint, isn't it?
Let's see how we go. But
there'll be levels to this podcast then.
Yeah, one of the greats on and off the field, Nathan Cleary. But he'd obviously have aspirations to dominate that Australian arena and the Origin, like Wally and Joey, no doubt. But where's the levels for Nath at club level? You see, because I mean, there's not many to go, is there?
No, there's not. I think it's obviously there's a level that he's going to have to sort of pick these kids up. It's Jake Cole, Blaze Salon. He's going to have to pick them up along the way and make their game better. If that's another level, is a level to play as a second receiver. It's hard. Like he masters all around the field. Is he going to become a better short side player? Can he jump down short sides a little bit more and play that sort of ad-lib footy, sort of eyes? He does play a lot of eyes up footy, but also he plays out the back of Yowie a little bit. Is it that he wants to take more control that way? Obviously, the obvious one there, as you spoke about, Origin and Australia, which will come. He's only 25, 26 years old, so he's got a lot of football left in him to dominate the representative arena. But as you said, they're things we can ask him, hopefully in a couple of weeks or a month's time, if we can sort of get him on. If you're listening, Nath, we don't have any brown paper bags to pay you, but it'd be good to have you on here.
It's going to be exciting, hey, Toddy, if we can get a couple of the great halves in the game coming on and adding to the levels to this show. We're just old washed up dudes, but how exciting is that going to be if we could do that over the next couple of months?
It'd be cool. It'd be cool to dive into some stuff with him. We won't talk too much about it. We'll leave that for now. And I can't jump the fence because I was always going to say the Sharks, and you went the Sharks, so you must have read me notes. But
why Sharks?
I like the Sharks. I think just the Sharks because Nathan hasn't played any trials. Him and Jake haven't played together in a game really together. They've obviously would have had a pre-season training, but I think the game time Trindle and Nicker had. And what I've seen, it was enough for me. I like Sharks middle. They're obviously big Tommy Hazelton on the bench, Brendan Hemueli and Sifa Talakai on the bench. That's massive coming on through the middle or edge. Obviously, big Adam Fanua-Blake starting for the first time for round one. It's going to be their middle's really good. I think that's where they win. They win the go forward early. I think Penrith. Obviously, they won't have a grand final hangover because there's been a lot of time and they're a class outfit. But I think the Sharks have had too much footy over the break, and I just think they'll live to the occasion. I just think they'll win that way through the middle with their bench and the way Nico and Trindle played in the preseason games. For me, could be wrong, but I think that's where it'll be won.
It's an exciting game. They're going to be close this Cronulla, aren't they? It'd be good to see how they start the year. They've had a really good run pretty much last 2 years, pretty much the start of the season till mid-year. They've been nearly on top, haven't they? So it's exciting to see how far they can go deep, how deep they can go, this year. A lot relies on Hines, doesn't it?
Yeah, do you reckon they're both top four teams if you look at them, or do you want to wait to see a little bit? Do you reckon the effective players that you've spoken about, obviously from Penrith, that have gone on to other clubs, is it going to give Penrith I don't know, is it going to hamper them early, or do you think it will take time? Obviously, you spoke a little bit about Haas, but they've lost, obviously, one of their big leaders in the middle. We didn't speak too much about that. They lost a try scorer in Taruga on the left wing.
Yeah, I think
the
biggest pickup for them, they obviously have lost players, but they've lost players over the last few years, haven't they? And they've obviously Jerome Luai is the huge out, and then obviously Fisher Harris. Like we just both said, there's probably going to be some teething problems at the start. As good as Nathan and Yowie and their system is, there's going to be some teething problems. You can't lose such a good player, four-time premiership winning 5'8", and Origin champion, and then not have some sort of teething problems, like we said, as good as they are. So I think there might be a bit of an up and down start for Penrith. That's why I thought it was a bit of a hard game to pick this game and who's going to get the result. But like last year they had teething problems a bit too, didn't they? They lost a few players. Yeah. They were trying to find their groove a bit, and then they had that great run home, and then obviously ended up winning their 4 in a row. But Moses Leota, a lot falls on him this year, doesn't it? I think the big pick up for them is Isaiah Papali. Yeah. I'm hopeless. I'm getting old, bro. The name.
And he's coming off the bench.
He's coming off the bench, but I like that. That. I think with
come on and make an impact.
Yeah, with the way the game is now, you see Spencer Lenu at the Roosters there. Like I almost think he's a better bench player. You know, some of those guys, it's no disrespect to who they are. Sometimes they obviously can start, but I think some of those middles, just with the modern game, it suits them to come off the bench. So I like that dynamics. I think he could be a pickup of the year across the NRL if they can get the best out of him, and they usually do. But yeah, I think there might be some teething problems early, but once they get their groove, cream rises to the top, and they'll be right up there. That my top four, just to answer your question, is I got Melbourne at 1, Penrith at 2, Cronulla at 3, Broncos at 4. So I'll see if I'm right.
Not bad if you're a man. What are your thoughts on Luke Garner in the centres and Alamotti on the wing?
The Luke Garner's obviously playing out of position there, isn't he? So I played with him. He was at the Roosters when I was there. He obviously went to the Tigers, didn't he? And then found his home out at Penrith. Obviously with Luke playing out there, you lose a little bit of speed. He's not an out-and-out centre, is he? But we keep talking about systems. They've got a great defence system. He'll make his tackles. They obviously trust him out wide to just be that good defensive player. And look, they're going to have some sort of deficiencies when you keep losing players. It's only natural, but the great teams, well, they've done it to this point, 4 in a row. They once the teething problems go away and they find their groove again, they'll adapt to the new side, I think, and they're going to be. It's exciting, isn't it? We spoke about it a few times now, but it's just great watching champions' journeys, and that's what Nathan Cleary is, and I just can't wait to watch how he evolves. He's just an out-and-out champion.
Yes, he is. He's one of the best, if not the best, obviously the best at the moment. There's probably out in front by a fair bit. For our next segment, it's our new segment for this week and ongoing weeks. It's the Nerd Footy Insight. And the Nerd Footy Insight is let's talk percentages of the field and what do they mean and how do you construct a set.
Wow.
Take it away, Mitchell.
I'm excited about this segment when you came up with this. It's a great little thing each week. We speak about it enough off the field, but percentages of the field. So for fans watching, I suppose, percentages of the field, I think they said came in sort of the late, early 80s before that teams were just sort of playing traditional power game. But when percentages of the field come in and the way we've come into first grade, basically in attack and defence, you break the field up in 40%, 70%, 60%, 50%, 40% across the field. And then you got your 30%. And basically that's how you manipulate your sets and defensively how you stack up your numbers. So obviously from a 70% of the field, you have your 7 defenders on the open and 3 on a short side. From the 60%, you have 6 on the open, 4 on a short side. From the 50%, you split 5 and 5. So for fans watching, that's sort of a rough guide of how systems are set up within each team. And then in an attack, you're basically playing your sequences. Each team plays different, but a lot of the plays and the setups are built around manipulating those percentages and trying to create overlaps. Toddy talked about it last week about the way he used to address the line and either swing to an open side or a short side, depending on the numbers of the defence. So basically, as a halfback, when we construct sets, you basically you got your shapes and your sequences to be organised as a team, and you basically have those sequences and shapes to break down the numbers, don't you? Really, you're breaking down to different percentages on the field through a play the ball speed and a power to basically get a quick as play the ball as you can to hopefully throw out the numbers that the team puts in those certain percentages. Hopefully I break that down right.
Yeah, very well said. And to the listeners, to understand what it's like to be a half or a 5'8" or someone that's a leader in a team that talks, is as soon as, say, if there's a scrum played straight away, before the halfback feeds the ball, the 5'8" feeds the ball, he will say, let's get to the 60 or the 40 or the 70 or the 30 in 2, and we're going to come back with this play. If it's kicked down to the left winger, the half will yell out, let's get a set, rat, which means continue this to the open side, to get to play 4, to finish and play 5 in the middle of the field to open up the field. So, and then obviously in penalties, dropouts, it's the same thing. They'll always call the set of what percentage of the field we're going to get to and whatever play we're going to be calling it from there. Obviously all teams got their different calls, what double X, double cross, all different plays. Obviously I'm not going to go over them all, but they're the things that the half has to talk straight away. As soon as the ball's catched or the start of any set, he will yell out, or the other half or someone will yell out, we'll get this position on the field to set up for a play. So a lot goes into it, but that's when we talk about systems. A lot of players sort of just worry about their job, where you look at the really good teams, the Melbournes and the Panthers at the moment, they're system players that when someone comes out, that calls from pretty much under 16s, they say, right through the first grade. That doesn't change, where some clubs sort of have different coaches and they have different ways they want to play. But at Penrith and Melbourne, it's the same system, even through their Queensland Cup for Melbourne. So thanks for that, Mitch. It's a good insight, and that's something we're gonna talk about in the nerd footy insight. So that's another one for our listeners. If you got a question or something you want to learn from us two nerds, would be great.
Love it. You could talk about it all day, couldn't you?
Oh, you can talk about it. You can, as you said, Mitch. Like we speak about footy so much, and now we don't play the game, but we actually still watch it and sort of try and break it down in different parts, and we talk about it and how it would be when we were still playing, or what you would sort of try and do, and how you think you could get better. We talk about Nathan and his levels of how he's going to get better, and I sometimes think how I would play now. Even mucking around playing that charity game the other week with you, we sort of broke it down the way we did when we used to play together. Yeah. Like, get to the position, let's swing it to water. I'm going to sweep late for you. Little things like that. It probably sounds like Chinese to some people listening, but to us it works.
Sixes and Sevens is brought to you by Good Day Daily Multivitamins. If you're looking to take your health a little more seriously and are not quite sure where to start, Good Day is a simple and effective way to get yourself essential vitamins and minerals. Packed with over 60 health benefits and 100% of your B vitamins, it's the easiest way to feel good fast. With a delicious passion fruit taste, just pour 1 sachet into water and you're good to go. Head to begoodhealth.com.au, use the code HALVES for 10% off your order. Pair that with a subscription for a 20% discount. It's the least you could do.
And obviously our final segment for today's shows is, instead of me asking you the questions, you're putting me on the spot and going to fire a few at me. So I'm a little bit nervous, actually.
All right, my mate. I'm going to come at you with, it's a 6 and 7 show. So my first question is, I want you to name the top 3 halves in the game. Could be a 6 or a 7, and why. Give us a little bit of insight. Get that nerd brain on, my mate.
Nerd brain. Okay, I'll start with Nathan Cleary at number 1. And we just spoke about it. What he's done in the game so far by winning premierships. He's won the last 4 premierships. The year before that, they got beaten one. So he's had 5 grand finals in the row. That speaks for itself. But just his development, he's come in as a young kid, but owned it from that age. He didn't sort of take time to get better. He's actually got better and better each year, which is obviously sometimes natural, but I don't think it should have happened as fast for a young kid. And then you speak about his levels in his game, how he gets better and better every year. That's what his dad was speaking about. And from his kicking game, then he gets a better running game. Then he starts to drift across the field instead of playing square all the time, but then also adapting to play second receiver. In the grand final 2 years ago when Cogger on the field when Jerome Lure went off the field, which was a massive thing for Penrith at the time because Cogger plays square and straight, and it freed up Nathan because Cogger's a natural 7. He come on and Nathan sort of stepped into that second receiver role, and it actually opened up the field for Nathan and gave him an opportunity to play eyes up footy, and it worked brilliantly for him because what it done to the Broncos, who they beat that year?
That was Broncos.
Yeah. So what it done to their defence is like they're always seeing Nathan in the front line, where this time he's out the back, and it just gave him so much of a handful. So I think, and just the way his composure, The way he's off the field, like he talks about getting better and better and what he does. And that's just really Nathan because he's there, number one. My number two, I'm going to go with Mitch Moses. Just the way he's getting the same sort of things. He's getting better at being a stable seven, controlling the shit. I think he went leaps and bounds this year with his performance in Origin. A lot of pressure is always on our number sevens in Origin. Origin 1, obviously, they didn't win, and then he comes out and brains it in game 2 and stamps his authority on it. And talking about now that he should be the number 7, I think he'll play 6 because he can play that second fiddle. But just his long kicking, I think he's got the best long kicking game in the comp. He kicks teams to death when his team's on the back foot. He finds a way for him to get on the front foot through his kicking game. He's got a lethal running game. He's got a right foot stat. Defensively, I think he's good. And that's also with Nathan. They're both defensively really well. And I'm going to say his next one, it's probably he's not probably the best number 3 halfback or 5'8", but I'm going to say it because I think that's where he gets to, is Isaiah Katoa. Yep. He's a young kid. He's a young kid that's come into first grade and owned it. He's come through the Penrith system behind Nathan, moved to the Dolphins when they would first come into the competition. What that comes with straight away, Wayne Bennett is your new coach, a new team, franchise team, back into the NRL, and he's a young kid playing halfback. He turns up last year and absolutely owns the Dolphins team. They speak about the play. They had the leaders there. Was the reason why they were winning, but it was all on the back of Isaiah Katoa. The way he played football, the way he squared up the field, he had the ability to play straight, and he had the ability to play square. His kicking game was really good, and I'm just going to put him number 3 because of his age. Everyone talks about young kids coming in, I'll give him a bit of time because they're younger and stuff like that, where for him it was like, no, I'm going out there owning it straight away, and it was his way, not anyone else's. That team played the way he played, and I think it was obviously a massive rat for Wayne to let the team do that and let him guide them around the field. But at the back end of last year, obviously Wayne started picking O'Sullivan because he could see chinks in his game where he probably needed to go work on. And I'm sure this year we'll see those chinks that he had last year that probably weren't up to scratch at times will be better this year. So that's why I'm going to go as Isaiah Katoa at number 3.
Love it, brother. Very insightful. You spoke about the great Boyd Cordner last week. I want to ask you this week about another great leader that you always spoke highly of, Paul Gallen.
Yeah, well, Gal's one of those blokes. When I first signed at Cronulla, he was a big part of the reason why I went there. At the time, obviously, I just left the Roosters, and I needed to go somewhere. He publicly come out and said that he wanted me to go to Cronulla. He said that Cronulla needed me and I needed Cronulla, and that was probably more because he was going to be my mentor and leader. And when I first got to Cronulla, obviously I had that with him. He was obviously, when someone comes out and publicly backs you, you want to go there and sort of give it all to him. And as I got to know Gal, like, he's a genuine person. He's straight up. He's a straight shooter. That's why some people don't like him. But to have that in your dressing shed or around the club, these presents that he brought, I didn't, obviously playing against him, coming through, you knew he had presence, but then you seen him at training, around training. But just his work ethic. And they always say the fittest bloke has to be the bloke that wins. Well, that's not right, because Gals was probably the fittest bloke, but doesn't always win everything when it comes to the 400s or 800s or longer runs. But he always gives his 110%. He always would never give up on it. He would always do his times, get everything done to the best of his ability and as fast as he could, but he would give that 110%. He would never sort of go below his 110%. And then just watching him away from the footy field, obviously he had his boxing at that time when I was there. I didn't know that he was going to be obviously a professional fighter back then, but he was obviously trained in the background away from us, and just the presence he had, obviously what they went through in 2012 with the Asada scandal and things like that, for him to own it, to sort of still stick at it, and then obviously perform each week on the field, and then watching him in Origin, things like that, he just goes to another level and just competes. And he's a great bloke off the field. bit like I say, Boyd, you feel safe around him. Obviously, I don't have a relationship as much to do with Boyd. When you're around him, you have a good time, and he really cares about you. He cares about his players and cares about people that are close to him. So that's Gal to a T for me.
How good, brother. What a champion he was. Paul Gallen.
Oh, one of the best. When you talk about players when you're in that huddle, and I always talk about when you're in the huddle, that's what I miss about not playing, is when you're in the sheds before you go out to play and you grab someone on the back of the jumper and you sort of give them a sort of, I don't know, you give them that real clinch of, like, let's go, we're about to go to war mentality, and Gal's next to you or across from you, you're a chance of winning. You're a chance of winning the game if he's in front of you or holding you, because you just feel the energy from him, because he's like, I don't know, he looks like a big great white.
It's like what you said about Boydo last week, and I've had the luxury to play with Gal as well in big games, and you're right. You know, you don't say that lightly as a man in a sheds, do you, that someone makes you feel safe? Like when you say that about in a room full of all the boys that we were able to play with, because you got respect for nearly everyone you're playing with, especially in those big games. You know that they're not going to let you down. But when you speak and you pick them out specifically and talk about them making you feel safe, and I've got that same energy off Gal myself. It's you can't give any bigger a compliment to a leader, can you, as a man? And I know exactly what you feel when they look you in the eye. A Boydo or a Paul Gallen look you in the eye and say, "I got your back today." You know they ain't fucking letting you down, and that's never. A leader, isn't it?
100%. And when we talk about Origin, obviously the highest of highs of rugby league, and watching Gal during Origin, like the year he played 80 minutes, he bashed himself in every game. But then the Sharks meant so much for him that if he played on Wednesday, he'd play from that following week, battered and bruised, go out and do exactly the same job, just get through all the work that he had to. So hats off to you, Gal. And
he just got Hall of Fame too, did he, Toddy? Did he just get put in the Hall of Fame?
He just got inducted to the Hall of Fame, which is massive. I was actually seeing ET on the plane over here, which was a bit of a fan moment.
How good's that? The great ET.
Mate, yeah, the great ET, yes.
Congrats, Gal, on that. Thoroughly deserved. What an absolute champion. I got a question for you, brah. Just a bit of change the mood a bit. You're obviously in Vegas now and life's changed, but Bali, we've had so many good times over in Bali. There's a famous... I'll tell you why I brought this up today, because that T-shirt you're wearing with your tattoo coming out off the front of your neck there was the image that... I remember opening up the paper one day, and it was after the Bali 9, and Chappelle Corby had just got out of prison, and here's my little mate in a photo with Chappelle Corby after all the headlines. Talk to us about your night out with Chappelle Corby and what happened.
Oh, mate, it was a funny story. So it was actually the year I got sacked from Cronulla. So it was mid-year when I got sacked from Cronulla, and obviously, Michael, you'd never been sacked from a club, but you feel very alone. And a great friend of ours, Dave Martin, owns the Coogee Courtyard in the main strip of Coogee. So if you want to go for breakfast or have a coffee, sneak in and see Big Davo. They're
free too, aren't they? Free coffee?
Free coffees if you say you're a fan, you're a listener to the 6s and 7s. So thanks, Davo. We appreciate that, mate. So Dave rings me like a great mate would, and he's like, "Oh, what are you up to? How you feeling? Blah, blah, blah." And he said straight away, he goes, "I spoke to your mum. I'm going to take you to Bali. Would you want to come?" I'm like, "Yeah, all right, we'll go over." He goes, "We'll go over there." Like he had a bar over there called Stacks at the time. He goes, "We'll go over there. It's my restaurant bar's whatever birthday it was. We're going to go over there and just go chill out and have a good time, get away from it." So second night there, we go to this party, and because Dave's friends with a lot of people there, Chappelle and Mercedes were at the cafe or the bar. And we weren't speaking at that time. And then obviously as the night went on, everyone was mingling bar because it was a party. So it was friends that were going to this party, and got a photo. And then obviously it'd been posted that night. The next day I woke up and obviously didn't think every night, because if someone goes, "Oh, get a photo," you get a photo, and you don't think about it. But the next morning I'm riding the scooter through Bali to get breakfast, and there's like a trail of people following me. Like little kids and that, and they're pointing at this paper, then I looked at. I didn't have my phone on at the time, so then I got to breakfast, put my phone on, and had all these messages. What's going on? What happened? How did you get this photo? All these different things from the media. So me going to Bali thinking I'm going to there for a quiet time, which I was doing, has been backfired into this big story about how to know Chappelle, what happened, things like that. And obviously it got blown out of proportion. A few days later on that trip, I went to the Corobacam prison. I didn't get in trouble, so don't anyone get any ideas.
The Bali 10.
The Bali 10. Dave had a friend in there that he went and seen. I took all my chronology, I took some books that I'd read. Well, I only read 10 pages, so I can't read too much. I get over them. And I took him in. I actually sat with the two guys that got executed.
Wow.
And spent a day with them, sat there for a couple of hours. I'm a massive Rugby League fan. Obviously, they had done their time, and I wasn't going to not talk to anyone. I was in there for the day to see Dave's friend, and while he was with them, I was sitting down and gave him some of my gear and sort of had a chat to him. And obviously, they'd come to the realisation that they were going to die over there and things like that. So it was pretty full on. But it was just to sit in there and see what was going on. It was pretty crazy. Like, you'd have to go in there to experience it, to understand it. But I would not want to be in Corobacam prison, that's for sure. So that's Bali to a T for me. Obviously, I've got a villa over there and a tattoo shop. I spend a little bit of time there, not as much this time around. But yeah, I loved Bali. As you said, we've had some unreal times there. Tiesto.
Oh, that was one of the best nights I've had in my life. I'd go sober.
Yeah,
I'd go sober now. It was good under the influence, but it'd even be. He's the king, Tiesto. What a night that was.
Mate, how good is it?
Chappelle Corby, the Bali 10.
Yeah.
And the last one, to finish off my questions, I just want to ask Todd Carney his life motto. What's the best bit of advice you've ever got? Let's get deep.
Well, I guess when my dad was alive, he always told me to live my life. All right, so I've done that, and I've done that to the best of my ability through anything I ever tried to do. But it's a motto that I have for me now, and it's the old saying, "This too shall pass." That everything changes, everything it will pass. Something bad will pass. Something good always passes. You got to live in the moment while you can. And why I live by the motto of "This too shall pass." I've had some shit times in my life, and I've had some really good times. But they don't last forever. I know that if I have shit times, that I get around loved ones, I get around people that I trust and people that I care for, and be around them and feed off their energy. And then when the good times come, I've started to realise now that I go back around those people, and then they'll last forever then if you're around those people, because what it does for them, it obviously gives them an opportunity to feel the good times, but obviously when the bad times, they give you the good times to try and make you feel better. So that's mine now, is this too shall pass. That you've just got to, and it sort of joins together, live your life too, because that's what Dad always used to say to me. It doesn't matter what happens, you got to live your life and enjoy it and be you, but give it everything you got. Don't second guess or not have a crack at something. That's why I'd always say, live your life. I've got the tattoo on me, live your life, and love life, and to have a crack at it. And that's all I feel I've done. I've lived with that, and those mottos that I sort of come up with at the end, this too shall pass, because probably not so much the good times, but the bad times when I felt really shit. And the more you sleep, and then you get over it, and things will go away. They become just sort of memories, and not so great memories, but they're there too. Live life, and this too shall pass. That's my two quotes.
I love you, brother. That's mad. Good way to finish, eh? Just live your life. And what a better way to live your life than Las Vegas? Like, just open the blinds behind you. Look out. You're in Sin City, brother. Does it get any better than that?
We've got Trump Tower here. And I will finish on something, actually, because today's the 25th, and because we didn't do this podcast yesterday, and I'm getting goosebumps because I'm about to say it. I was 2 years sober yesterday. So
yes,
we talk about live your life and this too shall pass. And I'm sitting here in Vegas, obviously sober, doing a podcast with one of my great mates that's on the same journey together. And it's probably the reason why we're so close and doing it. But, yeah, I just need to give myself a pat on the back. And, so thank you.
I'm proud of you, brother. What a journey.
Cheers. And also,
I didn't realise
thanks
that.
to...
I didn't realise it was 2 years today. How good.
Yeah, 24th of February 2 years ago was the time I decided to wake up. It's good that I can laugh about it, but if I reflect on a lot of things over the 2 years, my life's got better, obviously. My family's life's got better. My loved ones' lives have got better. My little family, my little boy and stepdaughter, and obviously Susie's life, they don't have to rest their head at night worrying about where I am. And I can come here for a bit of footy and a bit of work, and also give a bit of insight to our listeners. And we always want to thank our listeners and viewers for sixes and sevens. We're only new, but we're coming. We've got some big plans for what we're going to do. Who better to do it with me, great mate, you, buddy.
Love you, brother. Proud of you for 2 years, and enjoy Vegas, my man.
Cheers, bro.